Hey, what's up, everybody? Stevie Breach coming to you. I am getting ready for the Extreme Rules pay-per-view coming up on Sunday. And what I've been doing, for the last few pay-per-views is watching the last few events from that brand of pay-per-view, such as for the Royal Rumble. I watched the Royal Rumbles in back corresponding order, or did the same thing with WrestleMania. Now, doing it with Extreme Rules. Last weekend, I was able to catch up on Extreme Rules 2011. Very, very good pay-per-view I checked out. I did have this on Blu-ray already. And I just wanted to put out a review on this since I didn't have one up on my channel, and hoping some people can go back and pick these up. I'm a big fan of picking up Blu-rays, so I'll pump out the Blu-rays. Also available on DVD. Highly remembered. When I watched this show, I really, really liked it. But the one thing was in the back of my mind was when I watched it a year ago, I didn't think the show was all that great. I thought it was good, not as good as I liked it now. So maybe the same thing will come back to you. The one reason was that I think that a lot of people didn't like the show as well as I did when they first saw it. Was it was pretty predictable if you go back and think about the Monday before the pay-per-view on Sunday was the 3-hour WWE special, the WWE draft, much like this year's was supposed to be on this Monday, but they chickened out and they moved it back to June for some reason. They did this, and a lot of guys are moved in this draft. Randy Orton was moved. Sheamus was moved, and a few guys that are in other matches that you just knew. Alberto Del Rio wrestling in one of the co-main events. That you just sort of knew the result, which way it was going to happen. They weren't going to take two midstream titles and put them on one show. They weren't going to put two main titles and put them on another show. So you just sort of saw things that were going to fall in line. Not having to think about those things, watching it back this year, it was a whole lot more fun, and the show was really fun and really good to get into. Show started off with the good old CM Punk versus Randy Orton in a blow-off match. Last man standing match. The anonymous Raw GM turned face this night, kicked Nexus out of the ringside area. They all came down with CM Punk. After that, this just turned into an all-out awesome match. It's around 20 minutes is how long it is. These guys just beat the holy hell out of each other all over the arena, all up, all down. Um, I've always been a big fan of their Mania match, which is strictly just an in-the-ring wrestling match. This is a, last man standing match, so does have that element added to it, but I say it stands up to the WrestleMania match if it's not better. A lot of these were WrestleMania, rematches, and this is one that really improved on the WrestleMania, and I thought it was really, really good. From there we go to Kofi Kingston versus Sheamus. This is a tables match. Kofi pulls the upset here and wins. This was a big upset to me that I was marking out over, only because I didn't remember that Sheamus had been drafted from Raw to SmackDown, and they sort of needed the belt back on Kofi. Looking back on it, I was a little bit upset that they would let Sheamus lose a tables match. When you think about tables matches, you sort of think of guys like Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, people like that were the masters at the tables matches, mainly focusing on the Dudley Boys. But Sheamus was able to pull out a win over John Cena in a tables match, where he was able to win his first championship. And I sort of thought that you would have kept that gimmick around Sheamus, where the tables match was sort of his thing. You didn't have to use it all the time. It's like you didn't have to have him, saying, go get the tables and all that crap. But I think you should have at least put him in a spot where you could have looked at him like this was his sort of match and he could have done it. There was a million other matches they could have put him in that would have been just as exciting as this one. This is a good match with a surprise ending if you don't watch my review and you sort of forget what's happening. But sort of a letdown that Sheamus loses this kind of match. From there we go to a match that you really need to skip. It is probably the worst match on here. I think it honestly is the worst match here. This was a tag team strap match. Michael Cole and Jack Swagger going against Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. Not fun, not good. Nothing in here is exciting. Nothing in here is worth anything. So we'll just move on to Rey Mysterio and Cody Rhodes, which is one of my favorite wrestling matches from WrestleMania. In this match, they go to a Falls Count Anywhere match. Rey Mysterio was a SmackDown guy that was moved to Monday Night Raw, which gave us sort of an element of a blow-off feud. But, it could go either way since there's no titles or anything like that involved. Mysterio went over, and a big mistake. I think, Cody won the WrestleMania match, but Cody also should have won this match. But these guys fought everywhere from the bathroom to the merch stand to, I believe this even goes into the concession booth. But an all-around ass-kicking, really, really good match. I can't go wrong checking this out. From here we go to one of the first main event matches. We have Christian going on against Alberto Del Rio in a ladder match. Very, very good match. Not a great ladder match, but just a good match. If you take the ladder element out of it, I think I really liked it a whole lot more. Um, I don't know. I was a big guy who wasn't behind Christian becoming a world champion, especially with what comes out after this. Christian held the title for 2 days, dropping it to Randy Orton, which a lot of people went bananas over it. Then if you look at the big picture of it, they sort of turned Christian into a main heel. He went into a long program with Randy Orton, then went all the way through SummerSlam. So this honestly was the right direction to move him in. But back then, I really was behind Alberto Del Rio winning his first title and moving on. Even if he dropped it the first night on SmackDown to Randy Orton, which I thought was going to happen anyways. Orton being the face of SmackDown, that's where the title needed to go in the long run. I much would rather put the title on Del Rio, but seeing what they did with Christian, making him his first-time champion, even though he won the title as a face with help from Edge, distracting Ricardo and Del Rio, I think a year later, looking back, they made the right decision, and it's a very good match to check out. I highly recommend you guys all check it out. From there, we go to what is sort of a letdown. Big Show and Kane as the tag team champions battling the Core. The Core, the same thing as the Nexus, had the guys coming out there. The match was named into a lumberjack match to sort of offset that, and the Core were still not able to overset the odds. This was pretty much the end of the Core. They weren't able to get this done. Um, they were a big letdown at WrestleMania as well, and I don't think it was soon after this that the Core really dissolved as a team. Sort of a letdown to what they could have been. 4 guys that came together that you said there was not going to really be a leader, that there was 4 equals, even though everybody looked at Wade Barrett as he was the main guy. I believe he was the Intercontinental Champion at this time as well, but the Core never really lived up to its potential. I was really looking to a Core versus Nexus match at Mania. I think that would have been a real good thing that they could have put out there. Main event time: John Cena, The Miz, and John Morrison triple threat steel cage match. This was really fun. Everybody can remember the heat that was on John Morrison at the time for not getting along with Trish Stratus at WrestleMania. Then backing up Melina, saying that Melina should have been in the match, not Trish Stratus, coming out of nowhere. Remembering back that Trish Stratus, nobody really cared about, but she was out there for the one fact that he needed to promote Tough Enough. And she is a face in the past, even though nobody cared about her. Some people probably were talking about Trish Stratus actually coming back. I don't think one person bought Mania because she was there, but I don't know. I was really looking forward to this being the kickoff of John Morrison. He had the real big match with The Miz that I talked about 1,000 times on Monday Night Raw, that I thought was his start of his main event push, but I think this was the end of his main event anything. John Cena was able to recapture the title against The Miz. I think after this, The Miz got one more title shot, and then he was battling Alex Riley, and he has never regained what he once was, even though he did help headline Night of Champions later in the year and Survivor Series in tag matches with R-Truth. But he's never regained, the top billing that he had here on Extreme Rules. The match is really, really good. I think you'll really have a lot of fun watching this cage match. You can't go wrong with 3 guys like this. Morrison, a guy that I hope is coming back to be sooner than later to regain his forms. If you pick it up on Blu-ray, you get it packed with some really good exclusives. You get the Edge retirement from SmackDown. John Cena's draft night, where he's drafted from Raw to SmackDown, back to Raw again at the main event. The Rock's birthday, which came on the Monday Night Raw the next night, as well as an interview with John Cena. What is lacking from this, if you remember watching this on pay-per-view, this is the night that Osama bin Laden was finally killed over in, I believe, Afghanistan. John Cena came out, he made the announcement to the live crowd, which popped the crowd to USA and ho chants from everyone. It was only a minute, maybe 2 minutes longer than most. They could have found some way to put that on here. It was on Monday Night Raw the next night. I believe the clip's up on YouTube. Big letdown not having it, but Extreme Rules, great pay-per-view to go back and watch. Check it out. Extreme Rules on Sunday. Brock Lesnar and John Cena. Let's see what they can do from here.